Yesterday we were complimentary of Samsung when we talked about the S22 Ultra. Today might be a slightly different story when it comes to the Galaxy A53 5G, and we talk about the full review. I don't typically watch other people's videos before I do my own on a device. I had basically formed my opinion on it already, so I broke that rule and I started watching some other people, and a lot of the videos I saw focused on the display and the PPI and all the rest of it. That's great. That's fine. But then I went to Flossie, and he talked about the lag, which I expected him to talk about. $450 is an interesting category here. I would have expected a heck of a lot better. I would have expected a heck of a lot better because I've seen better with the OnePlus Nord N20 performance-wise. I would have expected a lot better because just for a couple dollars more, you can get better performance. I would have expected a lot better because the A52 from last year runs better than this. Mostly because it's running a Snapdragon 750. That was the thing in the comments. People were saying, wait a minute now. My A52 from last year was fantastic and it's running really well. What the heck are you talking about when it comes to the A53 5G not running well? Well, one word for you. Snapdragon. That's why. This has the Exynos. This stinks. I don't care about 120 Hz. I don't care about the panel and all the rest of it because if the performance is bad, it doesn't matter. Like I said in the other video, I'm not buying a TV set. I'm buying a phone. So as much as I like the Samsung panels and the 120 Hz and all the rest of it that they provide, and all the extras that they provide, which are really nice, if it's not powered with a decent engine to give me decent performance and a decent experience, I'm not interested. Just straight up, not interested. That's what I feel like with the A53 5G. I don't know how many devices I've used in my lifetime. I have never wanted to throw a device against the wall more than this one here. And I think because it promises more, it teases more, and then it takes it away from you. You could be playing Pokemon Go, like I said, or watching a movie, or anything, enjoying 120 frames a second, playing several games, scrolling, whatever it happens to be, and it's running really great, it's fantastic, and it's silky smooth, and this display is 100% gorgeous, is one of the better panels that you're going to be looking at, especially at this price range. Samsung did its usual magic. It's a fantastic screen to look at, but you'll be scrolling along and you'll be playing the game and you'll be enjoying the 120 Hz and the beautiful colors and all the rest of it on this OLED panel. And then all of a sudden, it'll go off the rails. It'll just stop doing what it was doing. It'll go from 120 frames to 12 frames and your neck will suffer from whiplash for the rest of the day. Because your brain will malfunction and short circuit not knowing what to do. It's a terrible experience. And if anything, I know all the Samsung defenders were on Twitter just absolutely bashing the Pixel 6a for their 60 Hz. Let me tell you something. If anything, the 120 Hz highlights the problems with this phone even more. Because of that drastic drop from 120 frames to 30 frames, 20 frames, whatever this thing can come up with at any given time. I'm less interested in frames per second at this price point than I am about just overall performance. If you can't deliver and if you can't push 120 frames, then don't bother. Give me more RAM. Give me a better processor. Give me a 700 series Snapdragon in here instead of an Exynos. Give me something else. But don't just push that stat because you think people want it, but then not be able to deliver it on an experience level that you'd actually want to have. And like I said, would you be able to use this phone? Absolutely. Is it unusable? No. It'll do a lot of things. It has a nice camera. Like we said, it has a nice display. When it runs well, it runs really well. You won't feel a lot of problems with it. It'll do everything that you want it to do. But when you use it side by side with other devices, I'm not talking about flagship devices. I'm not talking about devices $800 more expensive than this. I'm talking about devices in its price range. In fact, the variant of this phone from last year. When you do that, you recognize the shortcomings of this. And that's when it gets frustrating. Because you look at it, you say, this should have been a heck of a lot better. It should have been something that would absolutely be a category crusher. It should be head and shoulders above the iPhone SE 2022 and the Pixel 6a when it comes out. It should be a device that makes you question why you'd go for the lower end, the S22, as opposed to something like this and save yourself $200 or $300. But it doesn't do any of those things. And it's a phone that there's been very few phones at a price point like this that I actually experienced frustration using. Anger would boil up inside because I recognize the potential. I see the price that they're charging. I know it should be better. They're capable of better. There's better around them, and they just didn't do it with this device. Any review that goes on with this device, it does not mention lag in the first few minutes. I wouldn't give any, and that's not a knock on anybody, but I wouldn't give any credibility to any review that talks about the PPI of the device before the performance. Because the performance is the front and center thing that you need to be talking about. It's the issue that will affect you every single time you use the phone. Whether you're at 60 hertz or 120 hertz, or if it's a black and white display, if it doesn't run well, it doesn't run well. And to me, in my mind, this device doesn't run well. And it's a shame because there is a lot to like here. There is the update in the support that One UI 4.1 now has. There are the Samsung features that you like. There's the edge panels and the always-on display. And the display, when it actually is pushing 120 hertz, is lovely. Amazing color. I was playing Pokemon Go the other night, and it was the dusk of Pokemon, so it had like kind of the purples in it and the display, and it was a rain event. It's just a gorgeous panel. Absolutely. I like the form factor of it. I like this matte back. I like the camera hump the way it is. I like the thinness of the device. I like the flat display. I like a lot about this thing. Expandable storage, which is good. There's a lot of things to like here. But the one fatal flaw that they made a mistake on the spec was putting the Exynos chip in here. Maybe it was on purpose, because if they put a 780 in here, or if they just put the upgraded version of the 750 from last year, whatever, probably the 780, or whatever the new 700 series would be, that there would be no reason to buy the lower end S22 anymore. Because it has decent-ish battery life. You could get 5.5 hours of screen on time. No issue. There'd be serious question here about why you'd buy an S22 if this had a proper chip in it that you could actually get the performance that you should be getting. And when a Snapdragon 695 in the Nord N20 can outperform this, you got problems. You got problems. And that's really what I've been experiencing with this device. The other thing that I've noticed, I turned it down to 60 hertz to make it less obvious when it lags. That helps a little bit. But then again, you're paying for the 120 hertz. Everybody advertises the 120 hertz. Everybody crows about how they have 120 hertz and other phones don't. Well, if you turn it off, you'll notice the lag a touch less. The other thing is you have to go into settings and turn on touch sensitivity. Okay? Touch sensitivity. All right? Search for touch sensitivity. Make sure you turn that on. Because otherwise, I don't know if it's the polling rate or whatever it is, it feels like your finger is lagging on the display unless you have that on, and it still doesn't scroll that way. It feels like you're just, when you're scrolling, your finger's laboring, like it's sluggish for some reason, unless you turn on touch sensitivity. A lot of odd things about this device, and it really is just a failure to deliver on the potential that aggravates me the most about this particular phone. The price point could have been good. They do good trade-in features, and they have so much to like here. And One UI 4.1. Someone, just an aside, someone asked me why it was confusing them that I don't call them Android skins like a lot of other people do. I refer to them more as distribution. Skins to me was the coat of paint, right? It was the color scheme that you changed. If you were feeling particularly saucy in Windows 3.1 on any given day, you turn on the hot dog theme, right? Well, let's see if we can include a picture of that. But that's what I think of when I think of a skin. Distribution more, because you're changing customization features, you're changing the always-on display, you're changing the launcher, you're changing a lot of the guts of how you function in the settings menus, you're changing a lot of the internals of a software experience when you're talking about a distribution, much like Linux back in the day. So that's why I prefer to refer to them as Android distributions. That's neither here nor there. It's story time with Uncle Steve. Where did we land? Oh, yeah. Okay. The bottom line, don't spend any of your money here. If you're in the budget price range, get an older Samsung flagship like we talked about last week. Get a Nord N20 if it's available on T-Mobile. Do other things. Look other places than the Galaxy A53 5G. I think they need to go back to the drawing board. Look at what they did with the A52, which was incredibly successful, and rightfully so, ran well. Well, guess what? Had a Snapdragon in it. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, LongIslandWatch.com. Link will be in the description. Until next time, have that Stevealicious day.